After the resurrection, Jesus interacts with his disciples on multiple occasions. He feeds them fish, he visits with them on the side of the sea, he comforts them in upper rooms. He instructs them on where he is going and what he desires for them to do after he's gone. I want to talk about his final words before ascending to heaven. The last thing he says in the book of Matthew. It's the chapter 28, second half of verse 20. And behold, I am with you always, to the end of the age. Over the course of his time with the disciples, Jesus didn't leave them often. Now, the gospel writers note that he would often find time to be alone in prayer, but even as he did, the disciples would seek him out and he'd abide their presence. There is something about Jesus' proximity to his disciples that instructs us about love. Let's be clear. These men weren't always easy to be around. I know that for a fact. Not because the Bible tells us that Bartholomew was obnoxious or Philip was a jerk, but because they're human beings. Now let's be honest. Every one of us has days that we are difficult to be around. That's just a fact. But the people who love us stay. Even when we're grumpy, even when we're frustrating, even when our bad moods can be unpredictable. Now, don't go around abusing the love of others by telling them that if they really love you, they'll bear your willful choice to be unbearable. But know this, love abides. It remains. It endures. Jesus tells his disciples that he will be with them always. He does this by sending his Spirit to abide with them, to dwell inside of them. The Spirit's presence isn't fickle. The Spirit of God takes up residence in us, knowing full well who we are and how we can be. Paul tells us that we have a treasure, the Spirit, in the earthen vessels of our body, clay jars, he calls them, that shines outwardly. Power from God that remains even as we are afflicted, perplexed, persecuted, and struck down. These words come from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and I'd encourage you to go read it today. It's very encouraging to my heart. The glory of God abides with you if you have chosen to commit your life to Jesus. If you've been washed in the waters of baptism, his Spirit has taken up residence in you. And Paul tells us that nothing in all of creation can separate you from him, from his love. I love you, and I pray today that you would love others with the same abiding love that Jesus has for you. A love that doesn't leave others in times of need or as their trouble becomes difficult for you, but a love that remains especially in the face of struggle.